Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn are providing what the Cardinals wanted them to provide and what they were confident that they would provide. And let me offer my usual disclaimer. It's very, 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 very early. So you never know what's up on the road ahead. But I'm just saying, for what we have seen so far, for those of us who tried to understand why they wanted these three guys, it's easy to see that the Cardinals knew what they were doing, and at least so far, what they thought they were going to get, they're correct about that. That's all I'm trying to say. That pitiful rotation last year not only was really short on talent, it was really short on mental toughness. It was a rotation that really didn't have much of a backbone. Can I use the word gutless? Yeah, okay. Jordan Montgomery's a pretty tough-minded pitcher. That was about it. The Cardinals wanted something to kind of firm up that spine. Now, how do you firm up a starting rotation spine? You do it in two ways. When you have a real soft rotation where guys fold under pressure and they're not willing to compete as if their life depended on it. They fall apart under pressure. They don't have the poise. They don't have the professionalism. They panic. They get demoralized. They make a mistake like muffing a nubber to the mound. They completely unravel, things like that. They wanted guys that have a proven track record as far as they're going to go after hitters. They're going to maintain their poise. They're not going to fall apart under duress. They're going to give you innings, and you will not only have starters that have more stamina and endurance and the ability to stretch out deeper into games. You're also going to have guys that are not going to try to run to mommy every time somebody's loaded the bases against them or they're in a lot of trouble and early on the game is on the line. We saw a really good example of that twice in the Arizona series. Lance Lynn in the first, I don't know if it was first, second inning, maybe. Was that the first or the second, Jim, when the bases were loaded? It doesn't matter. It was early in the game.
Yeah, early, yep.
He loaded the bases, and, that was the flashpoint right there because the Cardinals had that awful series against Milwaukee, and it's like, well, here they go again. Arizona's coming in here. They scored a lot of runs, and they load the bases on Lynn. And he's in big trouble and everything else, and he fought his way out of it. He fought his way out of it. Like the walls could have came tumbling down. He fought his way out of it. Gibson yesterday, bases loaded, nobody out. Lynn got the big strikeout to end that threat against a really good hitter, Gurriel. And then I don't forget who the hitter was yesterday. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. Gibson with the bases loaded, nobody out. He got out of that jam, and it ended with a double play ground ball. And you realize what would have happened if either one of those pitchers or both of those pitchers would have weakened? Well, the Cardinals don't win. They don't win either game. That's my opinion, and I think that would, pretty much I don't think anybody would dispute that with the way this offense has gone. So the Cardinals wanted to toughen up their rotation. It wasn't about innings, and it wasn't about, okay, let's go get the most talented pitcher, or, we can sign this guy for $12 million because he'll strike out more. No, they're like, well, what has he got between the years? What's his heart like? Is he going to be able to fight his way through tough situations? Or do we give another $44 million to a guy that's probably not going to do that? So I think they made a prudent choice, actually. And for those of you who are already going into having all kinds of don't get chest pains over what I'm saying. We can have this conversation again. Would I like to see Bill DeWitt spend $150 million to buy the best pitcher that's available? Yeah, I'd like to see it, but I'm telling you, I also know that he's not going to do it. So what's the point of me of lingering on that all the time? The only thing that'll change that is if nobody goes to games, and we know that's not going to happen. But anyway, So they're working within the budget that's been set for them, and I thought Mozeliak, maybe with consultant Hein Bloom, and maybe with even the input of Marmol, and I know he had the input of Marmol. The input is like, we just got to be tougher minded in that rotation, and we got to be able to stretch into games. We got to take some of the burden off the bullpen, but we just need guys who are going to fight, instead of fold. They had too many guys fold. Now they wanted some guys who would fight. Does anyone doubt that Sonny Gray's a fighter? We're using it in the baseball sense. Anyone doubt he's a fighter? Lance Lynn, well, I don't know why the hell anybody should even ask the question. Of course he's a fighter. You saw him pitch here from 2011 through 2017. Big Mouth here tried to tell you all that Kyle Gibson is a fighter, a great competitor. He doesn't rattle under pressure. Oh, but he doesn't strike people. Well, it's kind of funny about that. Sometimes when he needs a strikeout, he finds a way to get it. But the point is, he's a fighter. He's not going to fold, and he's going to pitch deeper into games. What the hell do you want for a fifth starter? Right?
That's exactly what you want.
They're giving the Cardinals exactly what they bought. They're doing it for, we can say, well, it's a little less than a month. Don't get too excited. Yeah, I know that. Okay? But I also see three pitchers with a track record that tells you when they do pitch well or they do get out of jams and they do remain tough-minded and poised under pressure, that this has been their history. And this is why the Cardinals wanted them. Cardinals didn't draw names out of a hat. I know that right now, we sit here in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's like John Mozeliak's never made a good decision about anything. I know. I know how it is. But they had a plan, and they had a plan to fill specific needs, and some of it is the so-called intangibles. They wanted a mentally tougher rotation. And anybody who endured that crap last year should be in favor of having a more mentally tough rotation. So, Marmol said something after the game yesterday. He said, he was talking about Gibson. He was talking about some of their starters. Boy, I wonder who he wasn't talking about. He was talking about, we're seeing it now with some of our starters just being able to really minimize damage and then give you length, meaning innings after that. When you talk about a veteran pitcher, part of it is their experience in doing that well and not doing that well. And so they continue to evolve, but they have the experience. Gibson's had some really good years, and he's had some hard years where he's gotten punched in the face. And you have to figure out a way to combat that. And when you face a tough inning, your heart beats the same, and he figures out a way to minimize the damage. And that's exactly right. They had 10 plate appearances against him yesterday, 10, with runners in scoring position. And all they got out of it was a sac fly. No hits, no walks. They got a sac fly out of it. That is known as minimizing the damage. Lance Lynn does the same damn thing. Gray does the same damn thing. This is a step up for what you had last year, although, yeah, true, anything would have been a step up. I get it. But these guys bring some fire and some smarts and some poise to the competition. And, the people that hated these moves or hated two of the moves or you can hate what you want. I don't have to encourage that, though. I don't have to say, oh, yeah, you're right. No, because you're not. But why don't we all collectively try to appreciate what they've been able to bring to this, even if they weren't the starters that you wanted? Because you're living in a fantasy world where you actually think Bill DeWitt's going to say, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, Mo, let's say, we can go $300 million on him. You're actually living in that world. I wish I could do that. I really do. I wish I could actually just transfer into a whole fantasy world where you actually think this stuff's going to happen. Anyway, if you look at the Cardinals, all right, and here's one thing you need to know early, an indicator, right? this doesn't even do them justice, really. But the Cardinals are 8-5 in the games started by Gibson, Gray, and Lynn, which means they're 3-9 in the games started by the other guys, Miklasz, Matz, and Thompson. Okay?
Oh boy, yeah.
And you say, well, what's so darn great about 8-5? You know what was so darn great about 8-5 when they start? They weren't getting any darn run support. And it's amazing that they actually won 8 out of the 13 games, in terms of run support per 9 innings. The Cardinals had given Gray 2.1 runs, Lynn 2.2 runs, Gibson 2.3 runs. There's 71 National League pitchers that have made at least 3 starts this year, 71 of those guys. All 3 of these Cardinals rank in the bottom 13 on that list of 71 in terms of run support. So before you say, well, Bernie, you need to have higher standards. What's so dang special about 8-5? Well, given the lack of run support, that 8-5 could have been 4-9 or something like that. That's why. The other guys, because they can't keep the other team off the board, the Cardinals are 3-9 in those games that they have started. So I'm just saying, if you're grumbling about their starting pitching, you can, hey man, I'll join you in the grumbling and the hollering and the caterwauling about Miklasz and Matz. I'll leave Zach Thompson out of it because they've screwed him up. But I'll join you in mewling and caterwauling as long as you want when we talk about Miklasz and Matz and how disappointing they are. But I'm just saying, leave these 3 guys out of it. That's all I'm trying to say. Just leave them out of it. It doesn't apply to them. And I think we need to just we need to enlighten ourselves if we're still stuck in a dark place or whatever. They've done what they were paid and brought in here to do. Here's the part that bothers me. Gray, Lynn, and Gibson combined, they've got a 3.04 ERA. Miklasz and Matz combined have a 6.04 ERA.
Oh, boy.
Miklasz and Matz have pitched 50 and 2/3 innings. They've given up more runs in 50 and 2/3 innings than Gray, Lynn, and Gibson have yielded in 74 innings. Those 2 guys have pitched, I'm going to just round it to 50 innings, and they've given up 34 runs. Gibson, Lynn, Gray, 25 runs in 74 innings. You notice the split there a little bit?
Yeah, you
just
do.
just a little bit, right?
Pretty significant, man.
So I'm hoping Miklasz, you see Miklasz, because Jim Hayes would get us all them funny clubhouse bits. Miles Miklasz wearing a cowboy hat because the team going to be flying to Denver. So he going to dress like a cowboy man. Steven Matz lives in Nashville. He got them nice boots, got a little cowboy. Well, why don't you cowboy up, to use that phrase?
Yeah.
Right? Can we cowboy up a little bit, or are we just going to wear the costume? We just going to wear that costume. I'm a cowboy. Okay, cowboy. Why don't you cowboy up on the mound? Why don't you watch Gray and Lynn and Matz? Why don't you fight through some stuff? Right?
Desperately needed. You weren't kidding.
It's one of my favorite new sayings. It's like, I don't mind anybody complaining. Just complain about the right thing. Don't complain about the wrong thing. So anyway, and Kyle Gibson's doing exactly what I told you all he would do. And you all didn't listen, and I get that. All you could see is that baseball card ERA, And you say, well, what is he doing? Did it so great? Well, there's 3 major league starting pitchers that have gone 6 innings at every start they've made. He's one of the 3. I think that's pretty good, pretty big step up from these Twinkies pitching 4 1/3 last year all the time. Kyle Gibson, his last two assignments, he stood up in duels with Freddie Peralta, who's arguably one of the top 3 or 4 pitchers in baseball right now, and then Jordan Montgomery, who was the postseason hero for the world champion Rangers. He went, like we said, he went toe-to-toe with those guys. I don't know, other than the immediate Gibson family, I don't know if anybody thought that he would outpitch those guys and the Cardinals would win both of those games. They should have won the Gibson versus Peralta game, but they didn't score a run until the 9th inning to tie it up 1-1, and that was just because of a bases loaded walk. And Peralta and Montgomery, if you put their 2 starts together against Gibson, 13 innings, 2 runs allowed. Gibson was right there with him, 12 innings, 2 runs allowed. So he pretty much matched them. In fact, his Bill James game score yesterday was slightly higher than Montgomery's. So, Gibson got no run support when he pitched against Peralta. And he didn't, while he was in the game yesterday, he didn't get a lot of runs. When he was still in the game, it was 2-1. They tacked on later. But he made those 2 runs stand up. And he did that Houdini thing. So he doesn't have the dominant strikeout stuff, and he had the one real bad start, and I'm sure I hear about that all the time. We never talk about that Miami disaster. Yeah. Because it was one start. And the other thing about that, he gave up 6 runs in the first inning. Awful. But he pitched 5 more innings to save the bullpen and gave up 1 run. So there was even a little value in that. The other 4 starts that he's made, other than that Miami disaster, 8 earned runs, 25 innings, 2.88 ERA. And then 3 of the 4 starts were quality starts. And just a reminder to the uninformed, when you get a quality start, any team gets a quality start, they will win somewhere between 75 and 80% of the games where you get a quality start. So, yeah, they do matter. Gibson's one of 3 major league starters this year that go 6 innings in all 5 of his starts, or all 3 of his starts, or all 4 of his starts, or whatever. There's only 2 other guys have done that. Every start, 6 innings, at least. He has 3 quality starts this season. You may say, well, what's so special about that? Okay, I'm not organizing a parade, but his 3 quality starts are the same as Peralta and Aaron Nola and a lot of other guys you might want to, I could mention, but I'm not going to bore you with it. Since the start of last season, because I talked about his quality starts when they signed him. Nobody wanted to listen. Since the start of the 23 season, Kyle Gibson only has 1 fewer quality start than Corbin Burns. Same number of quality starts as Blake Snell. Oh, no, that can't be so. That must be a mistake. Because the Cardinals should have spent $200 million on Blake Snell. Barney, you're making stuff up now. Same number of quality starts as Blake Snell since the beginning of last season. He's got more quality starts than Nola, Peralta, Spencer Strider, Dylan Cease. I could go on, but what's the point? The people that will never admit they could have been a little wrong about Kyle Gibson, they're never going to admit it, so what's the point? These are the people where facts don't matter. They make up their own facts, Since the start of last season, Kyle Gibson has made 24 starts that stretch to 6 innings or longer. That's the 9th most in the majors. He has more 6 innings plus starts over the last 2 seasons than Jordan Montgomery, Freddie Peralta, Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, Dylan Cease, Justin Steele, Kevin Gausman, Justin Verlander. Should I continue? No, I won't continue. So, I don't know what you would want in a 5th starter. Ask yourself that question. What exactly is your standard for a 5th starter? What's your standard? Are you expecting Preacher Rowe? I mean,
That's a good one. I got to give you credit.
You expecting Mickey Lolich to come walking through the gate after doing his warm-ups? What do you think a fifth starter is in baseball 2024?
Oh.
Cardinals got a fifth starter that turns in more quality starts than some of those names y'all wanted to spend $500 million on, you know? So what? Just try to educate me. What in the hell would you want for a fifth starter with all this stuff that he does pretty damn well? I don't know, right?
If you get what you're getting right now, you'd say your number 5 starter is a heck of a lot better than anybody else's number 5 starter.
What you expecting Nolan Ryan? You expecting Fergie Jenkins? Right?
It's so unrealistic to your point. It really is.
You expecting the 1967 Jim Lonborg?
Oh.
Right?
That's a good one, too.
I just don't understand it, how the brain power is like so on fritz when it comes to that stuff. I don't know. Now, if the Cardinals introduced Kyle Gibson and said, well, we see him as our number 1 starter. Well, even I would spit my coffee out. Although, again, he's a lot better than people think. But, yeah, no sale on that. No sale. He's a fifth starter, okay? I think they've done pretty damn well in recognizing that he would do a good job as their fifth starter. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'll take what he's given right now and be happy as heck that finishes out the rest of the season.
And I don't listen. Will he have 3 or 4 ugly starts? Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, he will.
There are going to be times where the hitter wins the battle and he can't wiggle out of those jams. That's going to happen. But he'll be taking the ball every 5th day and giving you 6+ innings. I know that. He'll be saving the bullpen for you, even on a day where maybe he doesn't pitch all that great. So you get something positive out of it. I don't know, man. It's also cool, too, with his St. Louis connection, his wife's huge family. She's a native St. Louisan. I think he had, I read somewhere, maybe it was John Denton, he had about 100, there were about like 100 people in the stands yesterday, like the Kyle Gibson section.
That's great.
Got married a St. Louis woman, her family, she's got a big family. They all love that he's here, Try to enjoy it, folks. Just try to enjoy it a little bit, right?
Take a breath. Long season. And enjoy the good ones, by the way. It's okay.